All right, we're live now. Today is 29th of February, and we are live in our weekly BIM call, which is called BIMly. It's a Q&A on BIM and industry-related topic, an initiative that I've started under Beyond BIM, which is powered by our client, and I'm here every week to answer your questions as well as have some fruitful discussion on BIM and construction technology. So let's have a couple more people jumping in. I have a guest who's joining me today as well. Ujjwal will be participating me on this call and we will be sharing some thoughts back and forth. So this is a great initiatives. We want to kind of have people coming in and joining and listen to us and see how any new trend in industry that is happening, we would talk about it. So let's wait for Ujjwal to jump on, and once he's here, we can start our discussion. I've been getting a lot of DM from you guys. A lot of questions are coming in, and we would love to share some knowledge and share insight on those questions. And feel free to DM your other questions as well. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send me those questions, or if you want to ask during the call, you can ask it during the call as well. And we're recording these BIMly call every week and putting it on our YouTube channel under Beyond BIM. So you guys can go and check out the previous BIMly calls, which we have a lot of great discussions happening, and we had a bunch of questions that was already asked on various different topics. So you guys can go ahead and check that YouTube channel as well. Let me see when Ujjwal is jumping in. I have to check with Ujjwal where he would be. So I think we'll give a couple more minutes until Ujjwal jumps on. Meanwhile, he's joining in. I would bring it a question which came in last week to me, and this is more regarding about career path and career development. And I think a lot of people are interested in this type of questions where they want to know that what is a good career path in BIM and how one can progress within the BIM industry. So the quick and the shortest answer to that is, again, BIM is a career which is based on engineering, on construction. So having a core knowledge is very important. Before you jump into technology, you need to have your core very strong. So if you're an architect, if you are a mechanical, electrical engineer or civil engineer, you need to have your foundation very strong, and then only you can progress easily into BIM. So not having this knowledge will down the line, you would face difficulties, because all you're doing in BIM is replicating all those construction methods from your paper now to digital in a computer format. So not having that knowledge on how to read the drawing or understand what the analysis report is saying would be very hard to implement it into this digital format. So that's kind of a small answer. Now we have Ujjwal joined in as well. Hey Ujjwal, how are you?
Hi all. Thanks, Annie.
All right, so this is great, Ujjwal. Thank you for joining today's call. We have a couple questions lined up for you as well. So let's get that started. And then meanwhile, if within the audience, if anybody have any question, feel free to raise hand, or have any kind of input to or insight to provide, please feel free to raise hand and we will invite you onto the stage. So Ujjwal, let's start our discussion. I think a lot of people are interested in knowing about 4D and 5D BIM. So my question to you would be, first of all, let's explain what 4D means and what 5D means in very simple language, so people who have never heard about it or want to go into this site have an understanding of exactly what it is.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So, like typically when construction project starts, after the design is finished, we usually do planning. It's either in Primavera or Microsoft Project Management. So that is all on the bar charts. and it is not represent anywhere in virtually.
Yes.
So to represent those things virtually and to add it to the model, we use 4D technologies, and we do use couple of softwares which enhance this process. So it's more like integrating the timeline into a 3D BIM model, which will help us to understand the timelines and the milestones of a project.
Okay. And how about 5D BIM? When people talk about 5D, what does that entail?
So after the time comes into picture, we typically bring into the cost factor into the models, and that is where we describe 5D BIM as a process.
Okay, perfect. So 4D means attaching the time dimension, and 5D is time along with cost, right? That means 5D.
Yes, yes.
Again, I feel like 4Ds definitely have reached to the point where a lot of companies are using it to its full potential, and now we're also seeing it's been utilized on from small to large scale projects. But I feel like 5D is something is not very well used or not widely adopted yet. So in your experience, Ujjwal, tell me, like, have you started using 5D, or are you using it on any project to its full extent where you can really do a cost projection using that data?
So typically, yeah, so actually it does start with the quantity takeoff process from the model. So 5D process would typically start taking off the quantities from the model, and it should also align with the formats, like you can say the standards like NRM1, NRM2, those quantity surveying formats or the costing formats like POMI. So the quantities should be aligned, and the model should be aligned in a such a way that the quantity takeoff is done very seamlessly, and it matches this, the standards of measurements. And then we can further take the data for the simulation. So there are very few organizations who are practicing this 5D BIM to an extent where we do cost projection.
Yeah.
And it also depends upon, there is a liability, not liability, but you can say there is a restriction where we can disclose the cost factor to the end users.
Yeah.
So that is the reason the 5D BIM is not that extensively used, but also some of the organizations are testing it for their internal purposes.
Yeah, definitely. I think in my experience, to be very honest, like I have not yet been able to get like fully 5D. We are doing that part where you're saying that doing the quantity takeoff out of the model. So that's definitely been well maintained now, and we have set process for that. Within our company, we're providing quantity takeoff, especially for concrete contractor. We're doing quantity takeoff using the 3D model and doing all of their estimating. But having that cost factor is again is a challenge, because there is so many variable factor that comes into it, right? It's not just one number that you just multiply it by your quantities and you'll get your cost, right? Within a construction, if you look at it, there are I would say there are three major parameters that your cost fairly depends on, or even your schedule as well. One would be your manpower, so how much manpower you need for a project. Second would be your materials. This is what we're getting the takeoff from, right? And the third would be your equipment. So yes, material you can get out of the model, but the manpower and your equipment usage, that entirely depends on how your schedule is built and how well your project management is in tune with this system. Then only you get that data, and that's how you can really build that true 5D BIM, we call it.
Yeah. To add to, like, I did like the point you mentioned that BIM is nothing new. It is just a new thing that we add and skill to the core engineering background. And when we are managing a project, and 4D and 5D is nothing but managing a project in a more efficient way and more like a visualization way. And you need to have information on how the contracts are built, what are the things in the contract, and based on that only I think the planning and the costing thing operates. and we do need to have those in back of our head as well while we do this 4D and 5D.
Yeah, definitely, and that's very important. That's a great valid point, Ujjwal. That you really have to be a great project manager to do your 4D and 5D, right? Not just having a BIM knowledge or just a software knowledge alone will help you. You have to have your project management knowledge as well in order to build this all together. So that's a great point.
Yeah, a couple of challenges like in 4D.
Yes.
If you don't know the baseline, when does the project start? It is very difficult to even create a simulation. And to know that, you need to have a basic understanding of the contracts, because the contracts will have those dates, when are the things moving ahead and how are the things moving ahead. So I think that is a very essential part when we move into this BIM, that we need to have those core knowledge of project management as well.
Yeah. But Ujjwal, let's also answer this question that if a BIM guy want to really master 4D scheduling, what him or her should do in order to start on this journey? Like, what have you did to get yourself into this position where you are, that you are explaining 4D very well? So it would be great for other guys to understand as well, that where do they start if they want to learn 4D?
So I think it starts with a couple of basic relationships between the timelines, basic understanding about the bar charts, and I believe that if someone has played a particular role on a site as a planning engineer, then he can easily pave into this path as a 4D planner or 4D BIM specialist, because that is where it starts. Because a minute detail of planning needs to be there inside your head while you are planning a project. And once you know the planning background, and once you have practiced into a planning background, you can easily learn one of those 4D tools, like there is Synchro, there is Pixel Manager, and there is also Fuser. So either of these are helpful to just get into this 4D role,
4D
where you can be both a 4D planner as well as you can utilize the 4D tools.
Yeah. No, that's true. For me, in my experience, like how I got into 4D side is definitely I had the foundation of scheduling, and I was actually enjoying creating schedules from the beginning. So the first thing that I recommend is start learning scheduling a bit. You can either learn Maxo. I feel Maxo project is the easiest software to learn with. And then P6 obviously is there, that you can get more advanced into it. But learning the basics of scheduling is very important, where you can create a CPM schedule. That I think is the foundation of getting into the 4D. Yes, the software side definitely will add on once you get into more on like getting yourself into the pro level. Then yes, you have to learn software like Ujjwal is mentioning, Synchro, or some other software that are existing there. Even Navisworks can do a simple 4D as well. But I feel like to get into the complex side, you have to go to a pro level software. So my foundation would be to start learning scheduling from its basic, and then start transitioning yourself into more of learning the software where you connect these dots from 3D model to the scheduling together. So Ujjwal, I think that's a great insight as well. I would love to open up to the audience for a second and see if anybody in the audience have a question. I know there was a hand raised, and then I think somebody was raising hand but quit out of the call. But if anybody in the audience have any question, feel free to raise your hand, and we would love to have you on the stage and asking question. If not, then let's move on. Meanwhile, Ujjwal, let's continue our discussion on this topic as we're doing. Another thing that we have to, now we're doing about 4D. Let's continue this call on 4D, and we can continue on jumping other topics maybe on next time, right?
Yeah.
Is there any project that you would love to highlight that really helped with this 4D schedule? So we also need to talk about why we're doing 4D, right? Like, what are the advantage of using 4D? We have talked about that. Yes, 4D is great. You do the simulation, but what's really the advantage of this? Like, can we discuss a little bit about advantage that 4D brings?
Yeah, so I was part of one of those giga projects in Middle East region. So there was the project was in construction stage, and the client wanted us to, have a check on the contractor, check how are things going, what was the timeline agreed, where are the things moving right now, what was the plan, what was the actual. And we used to, we created a simulation based on what the client's schedulers prepared or the project managers prepared, and then we compared it to the actual site situations from the contractors. We got the data, we got the, the current situation of the site, where are the stage milestones of the project, and that is where we found there are a lot of delays in the project. And when there are delays, we need to identify why it was delayed. I think the 4D came into a huge picture because the project was huge. There are a lot of, let's say there are a lot of hotels, small hotels in that area, and we wanted to track the timelines. So we utilized the 4D, and we did create some simulations based on the actuals and plan, and that helped us to identify the delays, and that also made us aware that because of some those issues the projects were getting delayed. And I think the best that was the best use case I think we utilized. And then slowly when we started doing this a procedure or a practice, the project was getting more at a better pace, because they also had a back of their mind that we are having that data that we can compare which was planned and what is going on at the site.
No, yeah, that's a great use case, to identify the delays and potential risk that could happen because of those delays. In my experience, the advantage of 4D that I've seen starts from pre-construction level. So when I was working at Baker, the first year I was heavily involved into pre-construction phase, where they're bidding projects. They have not got those projects yet, but they're bidding it. And I was creating these quick 4Ds for them. Somebody would give a very preliminary basic schedule in Excel. I would convert that schedule into a Microsoft project and then bring that into Synchro while I was doing the pre-con model at the same time. And this 4D was prepared within a week or two. And all it was doing was to showcase how Baker was planning to build this project to these stakeholder and to the clients, because these clients sometimes have no background of construction. Like these are owners, they have a lot of money, but they don't really possess that knowledge of looking at a Gantt chart and understanding all these different variables that your building is getting built. So when we showed them this picture, when we played this animation in front of them, they quickly got that idea. Okay, this is how you plan to build. These many cranes you have on a project, this is your sequence, and that's your timeline, that within a year we will be able to finish this building. So that 4D at that pre-construction level became a huge hit, and I was then doing 4D every week. We were doing like maybe 20 projects a month on this 4D, and now they have that process set in stone. They want to create 4D for every project that they're bidding and would show it to the client. So that was the biggest advantage that we got out of it. Now, another advantage that we got during the construction cycle, when we started planning a project, we got a project already. This was a project in Miami called Gable Station. It's a huge 3-block project, and it was using multiple cranes and multiple crew at the same time. So the sequencing was very important to utilize these cranes on different areas. And then whoever the project manager put a schedule, he just overloaded everything together because it was a huge 1,000 activity schedule. When we prepared a 4D all together, and when we played that video, it shows that one crane was getting used 4 places at the same time, which was not supposed to be. This one crane was assigned to a project, and it would be shifting from project to project. So when he saw that, quickly he realized that he made a logical error in his schedule. And as he started shifting his schedule, and the timeline was adjusted because of that. So again, that also is one of the example where we realize the advantage of this 4D is you start noticing if your project is overly loaded or it has any logical error in it. So 4D really helps in those cases. So yeah, Ujjwal, I think this is a great example for guys who want to get into 4D. Whoever's listening on the call, and we will record this and put it on YouTube as well. So even in future, if they want to go back and refer that how or where to use 4D, will definitely be helpful. Now, quickly, we're running close to the time, but let's quickly talk about the advantage of 5D as well. I know it's not been talked a lot yet because not of people are not doing it, and they don't have a knowledge of it. But I would love to know from you that what are some advantage of cost loading a model? How a 5D comes and why we're using this 5D model.
Yeah, so in similar way, like you mentioned that use case of 4D was to either bid for this project. Similarly, I think the cost managers, when they provide a cost plan to the client, they also may not have that viability. How is the costing done? So I think even in that case, a simulation has helped them to understand on these milestones or those programmed dates, the costing or the budgeting would be in such a way that they are required to make an arrangement of those figures. So I think in that way also it has helped the cost managers to showcase their client about the cost plan. And apart from that, for our cost analysis also, we do have dashboards which we extract from the 5D models as well. So that typically goes hand in hand to just see the cost, and also helps the project controls team as well, because that they are also key role in this process. They play with both the 4D and the 5D team
together. Yeah. And I think 5D, I feel it's very important for stakeholders as well. Like
True.
If we can get a 5D model done, and like what you're talking, prepare it in a dashboard format and give it to a stakeholder who have a money invested in it, he would know where his monies is going, and is his project in budget or it's going out of budget, because that is very big concern of investors as well, or stakeholders, that if his project would finish within the timeline and within the budget. So having that 5D from the beginning, I think give them that control where they can monitor the progress of the project, that now it's getting over budget or now they have to bring in more money. So that 5D model definitely helps in that way. Another use case that I feel like 5D brings in is it eliminates the error or any manual entry that people do, because with cost entries, this is very risky factor as well, where people can plug in different numbers and now you have wrong cost, which can again it's a very risky task to go in. What 5D can do is like eliminate those errors, because now you're relying on this data which is coming out of the model. So you know that you have this quantity which is very reliable source of information, and then you put all these into a formulation, into a program which is calculating it automatically, so that human error get eliminated out of it. So I feel like 5D model can help in those areas where we can do projections, we can have your cost analysis done, as well as bring any risk factor that if the project will be going over budget or not. So yeah, Ujjwal, I think this is great. Today's discussion about 4D and 5D was very useful, I feel. And even for the listening people, we have people listening on to the call. I feel like you guys would get a lot of knowledge out of it and value. Again, I said we would be recording, so I'm recording these calls and will be posting it on YouTube. So if you guys want to share it with your other friends or colleagues, feel free to share it. And also, let's bring more ideas onto the table as well. This whole initiative is I've created Beyond BIM is to have an industry group where like-minded people, like all the BIM guys, can come together and share our information. So I want more people to get associated with it. Like Ujjwal have initiated it. He reached out to me and said that, hey, it would be great if we collaborate on this, And Ujjwal, this was great. Like having your insight on this topic was really helpful. And in future, we would definitely collaborate more on certain topics. I would love to have you more on these calls and have more fruitful discussion about it.
Yes. Thanks, Anirudh, for this opportunity as well.
All right, thank you. Thank you guys. We'll end this call here, and we'll meet you guys next week again on the same time. And feel free to DM your questions to me so that we have a list of questions that we can talk about. I'll see you guys next Thursday.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.